ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at circalasvegas.com.
What? Dude. Fish on.
Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
This is Andy Rowe from RowPaint.com. If you've thought about finishing your garage floor, patio, or business, give us a call. We have dozens of floor coating options to fit a variety of budgets and tastes. From polishing to stone finishes, decorative chips, and more, RowPaint.com is the largest applicator of specialty coatings in the Treasure Valley. Let the official coatings company of the Broncos bring you a 5-star experience and product.
My husband and I are like, we should have done this sooner, and it really changes your garage. Your garage is just so much cleaner, and it stays so much cleaner. I'm not really sure how that's possible, but it does. And it's literally my favorite room in our house right now. I would definitely recommend Row Paint to my friends, family, and neighbors. The outcome was amazing. The process was amazing. Row Paint was so awesome, and I am highly impressed, and I would use them for other things as well.
RowPaint.com. Power in people, pride in painting.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you here at BroncoNationNews.com. A Taco Bell Tuesday, a Tust Tuesday. A lot of T's going on today here at BroncoNationNews.com. Again, TacoBellWorks.com. If you're looking for a job, they are hiring. Taco Bell would love to have you. The Treasure Valley freestanding Taco Bell stores. And again, half your wages the very next day after you work, and you get free food while you work. I wish I had that deal when I was in high school. I'd be working at Taco Bell right now. But Jay Tust joins us, KTVB. Sports director. I know we got a lot going on with high school state tournaments. Saw Jay complaining about the bracket on Twitter. A lot going on, Jay. How we doing?
Unlike your complaints, this one's very valid.
I do think it's dumb if you have multiple teams playing conference teams in the first round in the state tournament.
3 of the 4 first round games in the 5A tournament are conference matchups. I think that's just stupid.
Or have them played up there before they come down.
Honestly, I mean, seriously, though, like if you fall into the losers bracket, maybe one of them decides, yeah, it's not worth the 8-hour trip. Like, I think it's ridiculous that I know there's no perfect way to do this, but they went to the Max Prep rankings a few years ago, and there was always one all SIC matchup because they get 5 teams in, and it is what it is. But to have 3 basically conference matchups, especially for a team or 2 teams that have to travel from up north, is just, that just seems ridiculous.
A lot to get to today, but I guess the big news, Jay Tust, Max Rice now engaged. So congrats to Max Rice. They had the collective golf tournament yesterday. I saw some cool pictures of that. Kudos to Joe Nickel. He was texting me last night. Jay, he said he didn't realize, he goes, why didn't you tell me it was this hard to put on a golf tournament? But kudos to the collective, their first tournament in the books. And at the end of it, kind of Jay Tust style with the helicopter coming in. Max Rice gets engaged, and kind of a cool end to the collective golf tournament yesterday.
That was a cool end. Big shout out to Max, though. Congrats to him, and that's awesome. It's crazy. It kind of takes you back to just how long you've known Max, and I remember not that long ago, I was texting him to congratulate him about his commitment to Boise State. I say not too long ago. It feels like it's
phones back then. They had phones back then.
Yeah, that's 2017, man. That was a little while ago, and now texting him to say congrats on finding his forever, if you will. So
yeah.
Congrats to him for sure.
Awesome news there. By the way, basketball scheduling news real quick. I did confirm. I know I was saying last week maybe they should try to get out of that tournament because all the other teams are leaving. And my understanding is that's not going to happen. There's just a 6-figure payday involved. It's just too hard at this point. They're already making travel plans for the Grand Cayman. So there's still going to be some quad 2 opportunities in there. And as we now know, Jay, all you got to do is, even if it's a bad team, all you have to do is win by a lot and you're still okay. So they may not have the quad 1 games they had in last year's tournament, but they still get to go to the Cayman Islands for a couple days in late November and play a couple games. And it does sound like, in terms of the games for sure on the schedule, Clemson coming to Boise. They're at San Francisco. They're playing Wazoo at the downtown arena. And then my understanding is they're trying to get another game back in Idaho Falls. Who knows? Maybe even against the same team they played in Idaho Falls last year, I heard is possible. So they're working on some other things, but the tournament is not going to change, it sounds like.
Yeah, I really like those neutral court matchups too, by the way. I just think that a lot of people benefit from those because it just makes having a quad 1 game more attainable, or potentially even a quad 1 loss for that matter, not necessarily hurt yourself, and you get a quasi home game, in your own city. So that's an awesome thing. And I'm all for it. And Boise State looks like, yeah, you said BJ might have 2 of those things, kind of like they did last year. And yeah, you know what though, like when it comes to the Cayman Islands tournament too, like that's also a chance just to get out on the road, come together as a team. And I still feel like there's tremendous value in that alone. So, to go win the darn thing,
Yeah, and it is different philosophies. Last year they went 1-3 on that East Coast swing, and they played some tougher games but lost them all. This would be the different one here, where you maybe get a chance to win this tournament, get 3 more wins, but maybe not have them be as impressive on the resume. So there's different ways to do it. You would think non-conference wise the record could be a little better maybe this year going into the season, but is that going to carry any weight come Selection Sunday? Because even playing the tough games last year, they didn't get much credit for that, Jay, because they didn't win any of them. So we'll find out again this year. I know most of the other teams, New Mexico included, were not getting much credit, it appeared, for their non-conference schedule. So going to have to find a way to win that Clemson game, the Washington State game, some of those marquee games they do have at San Francisco, which is another early season game, I'm told. So, yeah, they're going to have to take advantage of these other games because the tournament's not going to give them a ton of those quad 1 opportunities, and we'll see what the schedule ends up looking like. But it's coming together. Still 2 scholarships left, and Josh says, why are teams backing out? Well, Rutgers backed out because they wanted their players to go be in that tournament where they're all going to get like $100,000 for playing in this tournament. There's this new NIL tournament. And so Rutgers backed out to go play in that because Rutgers has like 3 of the top 6 players in the country next year committed to them. They're a top 25 team, and they got some like the number 1, number 2 players in the class going to Rutgers somehow next year, Jay. So they promised them some NIL money, I assume, and they're going to get it by going into that tournament. And then Mississippi State backed out as well to go into another tournament once Rutgers kind of backed out. So your 2 kind of I guess you can say marquee, but at least your 2 Power 5 named teams did back out of that tournament. I had said on this show, the Diamond Head Classic still needs a Mountain West team. The Charleston tournament still needed a Mountain West team. Maybe there was a way to, flip that around. But my understanding is no, they'll stay in it, and we'll see how the rest of the schedule comes together. Don't forget, Jay, I know some people were upset with that, but the league did go to the 20-game schedule too. So there's less games you have to fill in the non-conference also.
Yeah, just scheduling news, right? It'll all come out. I am kind of curious how, I feel like Mike Burns is kind of the mastermind of some of these scheduling things just because of his connections. He's able to, orchestrate a lot of this stuff. And I think he's done a great job. But now that you kind of see that, sometimes they're rewarded in the RPI, but not necessarily in the committee's eyes. So how do you kind of continue to shift and adapt to put yourself in the best position possible, not only to make March Madness, but also, have a seed where you're not going up against a Colorado team in the first four, and Colorado's got 3, players invited to the NBA Combine, which is just about as many as any team in America. So just trying to find a way to navigate this where you put yourself in a great position to make the tournament, and then also maybe get a little more favorable matchup than having to go to Dayton.
And this is, I think I can say this, but a lot of teams reach out to like some of these prognosticators and say like, hey, what do we need to do to our schedule to do better? And my understanding is Mike Burns and Leon Company reached out to Joe Lunardi or in the process of reaching out to Joe Lunardi, or will be soon if they haven't, to be like, hey, Joe, you study this stuff every single day. Here's what we have on our schedule. Is this good enough? What else do we need? And, they're trying to put the best schedule together they can. One player that will be on that roster and playing on that schedule is Tyson Degenhart, Jay Tust. And I know we've discussed this and everything at length. And my understanding is, Jay, that honestly, he did not get a ton of interest just because teams knew there was no chance he was going to leave. So it's not like he did turn down, quote unquote, $2 million or whatever. I don't think that there was much interest on him for the sole reason that they just knew there was no reason even bothering. He's not leaving. But we see Great Osobor get $2 million. I did see, was it Coleman Hawkins said LOL or something, highest paid player, like maybe he's heard of more guys getting more or whatever else. And again, the reported number is never exactly what it is. The agent, of course, is going to make that look good when he sends it out. But the reported number, $2 million, the highest known paid player, Great Osobor going to Washington. And first of all, nothing against Great, man. I thought he was, no pun intended, great last year, but I don't know if is he the best player in college basketball or worth the most money in college basketball? I mean, he couldn't really shoot. He dominated around the basket. He was kind of undersized, like in a Power 5 league. I don't know how that's going to translate. I guess they had the money and he needed a splash in year one there. Danny Sprinkle did, so they made it happen. But I was a little surprised. If they had $2 million, they probably could have thrown that around a little differently, in my opinion, to bring in some players. But two-parter, I guess. They get him for $2 million. And then, as you kind of said on Twitter, like if Tyson Degenhart had put himself out there to open bidders, how much could a guy like that have gotten in the open market?
Yeah, and the important part is he'd have to go into the portal. I mean, we liken this to, the conversation surrounding Spencer Danielson last week, where there were upwards of a dozen players on his roster that were trying to be lured into the portal, and that's where action can happen in terms of, real offers and things like that. So had he done that, man, I just can't imagine. And Tyson did pretty good in his matchups with Osobor last year. On one hand, I do want to say this, I know that the transfer portal and NIL has created chaos, and I tweeted this out yesterday too, but I just had limited interaction with Great due to, prepping for some of these basketball games that we called last year. And he really does seem like a humble, good guy. So on that note, the fact that 2 years ago, he's a backup at Montana State, now he's getting, a massive NIL deal to play in the Big Ten at the University of Washington. I mean, I know it kind of feels weird, but I also kind of feel like this was a little bit of the spirit of it. He has went out and earned it. His coach has left 2 spots, which is why he has left, the last 2 schools. So I don't know. I do feel like it follows the spirit of NIL at least a little bit. One thing I do want to add to this though, BJ, and you said the values we hear don't necessarily always add up. Well, sometimes the value of a deal is in value, right? He's not necessarily just getting $2 million cash. So, I liken this to some of these guys that are out getting car deals, right?
Yeah.
It's a great luxury, but it still actually it's going to cost them money. So you get an awesome F-150 to drive around, but you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And so I know you're getting an awesome car at a great rate, but it's still going to cost, $1,500 out of your pocket at some point.
Sure.
And so that's why some of these NIL deals, in $2 million in value, it's not just here's $2 million cash and a money gun, go make it rain. You know what I mean? So those are some things to consider. And on top of that too, probably the one guy that is getting cash out of the deal is his agent. So
20%, baby.
20%. If that's what his agent is getting on $2 million to charge, that's $400K that he gets. And so now all of a sudden you got what, 1.6 million in value. So I don't know. So it would just be really, nobody's ever going to be super transparent about this stuff, but you would love to know what it actually is.
Yeah. Well, the agents want to make themselves look good so they can get another player and say, I got him this deal and this. And, there's more money now, Jay, as you know, in the NIL agent game because it is up to 20% as opposed to the regular sports agent game, or it's like 3% or 6% or whatever the standard, whatever, Scott Boras is getting on a contract is like 3% or whatever, which again, on those deals is still plenty of money. He's doing fine. But 20% on some of these guys making $1 million in college, you could get a bigger percentage. And that's why our man Winston Venable and what he's doing with the financial literacy and some of that stuff is such a big deal too, where it's like you mentioned the $1,500 on taxes, like you're getting all these different deals. And if you're not thinking about it, like Uncle Sam comes calling at the end of the year, oh yeah, you owe $17,000 back on your taxes. And it's like, oh, what? So it's not as simple as it seems. And that is a big part of it that I hope the athletes are really understanding. And you mentioned the agents, I'll just say it. I heard it had a little to do with Buzo, and we're hearing it happen all over the place where they get these agents, or the agents almost on their own are marketing players and then come say, hey, Chibuzo Abo, and I'm not saying this happened, but hey, Chibuzo Abo, or hey, player A, USC will take you for $500,000. I already got the deal done. And then that guy's all of a sudden going from, jumping in the middle and making his 20%. And then sometimes the players will sign agents and the agent will sign them to a school they don't even want, or take them to a deal, Jay, they don't even want to go to. But hey, I got you this deal and here's the money, and he gets his cut. So you got to go here. You sign the contract, whatever. And so you have players no longer making their own decision on where they want to transfer to. Their agent is kind of taking the best amount of money. So the whole thing is just really, as we've talked about, really, really screwed up right now.
And it's going to be that way until, probably the revenue sharing thing goes in. This could be, I'm really interested to see if this is the height of it or not in terms of what a player makes. Because once revenue sharing goes into effect, I just don't know if the opportunity, you start to spread the wealth. I don't know if the opportunity to pay one guy $2 million is going to be on the table anymore. Hey, it might be though. I don't know. The future of this thing is going to be interesting, but would certainly be nice to get some guardrails on it, as we've said, I don't know, like 50 million times.
I just, as I said, and my whole overarching thing is like, if they can actually make money, Jay, for actually doing name, image, and likeness stuff, I am 100% fine with that.
Yeah.
Nothing against a guy like Ashton Genty, but I have yet to see him make one social media post. I have yet to see him do anything in terms of the $300,000. And there probably has been some that I haven't seen. Maybe that's all coming, but you cannot tell me that some of these players, like a Great Osobor, is getting $2 million, that he's going to be able to do enough NIL, community service, whatever you want, to be equal to $2 million. Like, you just can't. So I just, if they're actually doing charitable efforts and they're actually doing autograph signings and commercials and things where they're getting the money and earning it, that's great. But if it's just, we'll pay you $300,000, go do one or two quick things and we'll call it, legally we're good, I don't know if I like that side of it.
Well, that's pay for play, and that's supposed to be what is illegal, but
which is what's happening though.
What's that?
Which is basically what's happening.
Oh, it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere, and the NCAA is too scared to do anything about it. And it is, I don't know. It is what it is. It's funny. I feel like this is a topic that I could talk about forever, but I also feel like we've kind of beaten our heads against the wall about it recently, and it's
finally impacted Boise State when it hadn't up until this point. When you talk about a guy like Buzo and then now the Mountain West too, and guys staying, I think it's become a little more localized here.
Yeah, it has. It's just nothing's changed. Nothing in the immediate future feels like it's going to change. And so it's the reality of it. And that's why, you have to just appreciate guys like Ashton Genty and Tyson Degenhart for remaining committed to Boise State, not going into the portal and not trying to, auction themselves off to the top bidder and things like that. So I've said it before and you've said it before, but you just got to appreciate guys like that, because they just see this opportunity a little bit differently. And I hope like hell it works out for them. And they're, an example moving forward of, don't chase the top dollar today and put yourself in a worse situation, find the best situation, for yourself financially as a player, all that stuff. And then have it pay off for you down the stretch. Hopefully that works out like that.
I think the big news today, though, Jay Tust, is that you are currently available. The Atkinsons gave you the boot, and we are looking for a home for Jay Tust for a foursome for the BNN golf tournament here. We've had a couple groups kind of step up. Again, we're going to see if we can get more money raised for Jay Tust to play in their foursome or Leon Rice to play in their foursome. And I think Jay Tust might have you can hit it a lot farther than Coach Rice can. I know that, Jay.
Yeah, but Coach Rice has cooler stories, and he's way funnier. Actually, I don't know if he's way funnier, but he's definitely got cool. I'm just kidding, Coach Rice.
But yes,
I can guarantee this, though. I will not draw a bid that's even close to what Leon Rice will go for.
Well, we are almost sold out. We do have a couple morning spots that opened up because we had a couple people in the morning switch to the afternoon. So if you could only play in the morning, you now have a chance to get back in morning, afternoon. We're getting close to selling this thing out. Believe it or not, Jay, it's 2 weeks from Friday. Looking forward to this. We need to get Jay out there on the course and at least get a bucket of balls in at the range before this. But
nice.
2 weeks from Friday, our title sponsors, rowpaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union. We appreciate them. A lot of other great sponsors have stepped up for this. Garrett Collingham and Capital Paving, Coca-Cola, Simon Avalos. I mentioned United Commercial Insurance, Atkinson's Mirror and Glass, Taco Bell, Boise Dentistry, Ridley's Family Markets, Top Golf, and of course the favorite hole I think last year was Cutwater Spirits and the tasting hole there on hole 4. So a couple foursomes left. Let's sell this thing out. More money for charity, more money to help continue in what we're doing at BNN. And again, it's going to be a lot of fun. May 31st, R&R barbecue, catered lunch, going to be great. You get some drinks, all kinds of free swag on the course. Going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, start off your day with the Degenhart dozens for breakfast. Tyson Degenhart will personally, Jay Tust, hand you a donut for breakfast.
Sweet. Just put now that I'm not with the Atkinsons, put me right in the group directly behind them because I'm going to
hit them a few times.
I'm going to drive into them all afternoon.
Who are we kidding? You could be 2 holes away and still drive into them.
That's
come
also
on.
True, I guess. Yeah, put them in the fairway to the right.
Yeah. Looking forward to it again. May 31st at Timberstone. We have a couple foursomes left. I really do want to sell this thing out, and yes, I'm going to be begging and talking about this every day till we sell this thing out. We are in a great spot. We already, Jay Tust, have more foursomes than last year, so we are in a great spot. We're at like 54 foursomes, which is crazy, but we can get up to 64 if we fill both flights, and all we do when we leave a spot on the table is leave less money for the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. So let's sell this thing out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Again, May 31st, 2 weeks from Friday. It also includes the evening before, the happy hour with Spencer Danielson, Q&A. This is only limited to 125 people, so Spencer Danielson Q&A. Hopefully Coach Rice, I'm still confirming that, but got all your favorite BNN celebrities hanging out, mingling, going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to hanging with you on May 30th, the night before, but that ticket is only available if you're coming to the golf tournament on May 31st. So reach out. We'd love to have you May 31st, Timberstone Golf Course in Caldwell. Jay, tough finish for the softball team.
Yeah, tough finish just because the season's over, but I still feel like, they got just about everything out of that team they needed to. I think there were a couple of plays, from maybe forcing that winner take all game 2 against San Diego State last week. But at the same time, it's tough to play perfect. San Diego State's got a good squad. They got the Co-Mountain West Player of the Year that she was the best player on the field last Saturday, and ultimately Boise State's season comes to an end a little bit earlier than they would have hoped or wanted it to. They know they wanted to win that thing and punch their ticket to the NCAA regionals, but unfortunately that's just not the way that it went. I will say this, though. I think Justin Schultz is doing an awesome job. He pushed a lot of right buttons last weekend, and they have a lot of promise coming back. It's going to be up to him, the program, the university to retain the talent on that roster. But, starting off, building it around Sydney Groves and Holly Farmer and Sophia Knight and Mackenzie Hanna, who's only a junior.
Both their big home run hitters, 18 home runs each, I believe, are both able to come back next year.
Yeah, both. But that's tied. Only one person in school history has ever hit more home runs in a single season than either of those ladies. So they're both tied for second most at Boise State. Sydney Groves set the RBI record. They've really got like a really nice core. Now, how do they complement that so that they're better than last year? They're going to miss Taylor Cottle, no doubt. Jordan Hutchins, she was a senior. There's definitely some players on their roster that they're going to miss. But as some of those younger, players start to take a step, again, like a Holly Farmer, she was outstanding. She had 462 in the Mountain West tournament, played phenomenal at shortstop. I mean, you want to look at the left side of their infield with potentially, I know Groves moves around a little bit. She can play first, play third. She's played third the last couple of games this last weekend. So between Groves and Farmer at short and third, I mean, that's about as good as it gets. And then if you want to go up the middle, with Sophia Knight in center field and Brooklyn Pettis coming back behind home plate. I mean, they really have some nice pieces. This is reloading. This is not rebuilding.
And I know, I can't believe I'm saying this, thought John Mallory asked a pretty good question to Justin Schultz about, just the expectations. Did you overachieve or underachieve with this team? And I think there was a little more hope, I guess, coming into the season, Jay, when just you're always excited going into a season with what they did last year, and then just the new lights and the scoreboard, and there was a lot of anticipation. They did lose a lot of close games, and then you do look and see that there were a lot of young players, getting a lot of key at bats. And so I think you could make an argument for both. And if Justin Schultz had a cold one in front of him, he might tell you, hey, we at times we probably did underachieve and lose a couple of games we should have won, but in the end, maybe they're about where they should have been given the youth on the team. But it's funny, by the way, the basketball team, loses a big game, gets second or whatever, and people are like, oh, great job getting second. They're going to be great next year. And then someone like basketball loses a game, and it's like, oh, another, couldn't get it done. And it's just funny how the different teams have different narratives and things, going forward. But you look at who's coming back, and I do think the excitement now and building on this, I do think there is an opportunity there for this team to really put it together and have a chance to do some things next year.
Yeah, well, I don't know. With all due respect to Justin Schultz and that answer, I mean, he's as competitive as can be, and so I don't think he's going to say that. Yeah, we overachieved or perfectly achieved. Or I think when you don't win the final game of the year to get yourself to the NCAA tournament, that the feeling is going to be like we left something out there. But like, I'm sorry, they had no clue in center field. They had no clue, really going in with what Sophia Knight was going to do. She hit 405, which is the sixth best batting average in school history. She falls 3 hits short of the single season hit record. Even Sydney Groves, I know like they really believe in her and love her, but like they were asking her to be like the main part of their lineup this year in terms of run production. Holly Farmer hit like 259 last year. They asked her to really take a big step, and there was a point in the season too where they were really trying to figure out who to play at shortstop. They commit to Holly, and over the last 11 games, she was great defensively at shortstop. So there were some big time question marks going into the season, and all those question marks are now exclamation marks, and all those exclamation marks are coming back next year. So Jenna Bloom also, she has the opportunity to come back if she wants. And that'll be nice. They really rotated and platooned at first base. So there are some definitely areas where, I figure Justin Schultz can attack and want to get better. But actually, I mean, I say that too. And Riz was, pretty darn good at the dish, down the stretch for the season playing first base. So I don't know. It's fun that Justin's made softball exciting in Boise, and I already look forward to next April and May, and whenever the weather gets nice and they're actually allowed to play here in Boise, covering them. By the way, though, that was awesome.
What's that?
I said, get the tournament back here. Go win it again next year so that we can get the tournament here the following year, because
couldn't have been better weather, better games. It was a lot of fun.
It was. I had a great time. Just finally the weather turned in our favor, and sitting outside watching ball. Man, would have been nice one of the games to be out in right field with a cold one, not covering the games, but it was very nice. Maybe I would say that would. Yeah, I'll agree with that, but. That's kind of my my little heaven there, so I'm good with that. Me and Johnny actually enjoyed the chance on Saturday. Gloria Navarez sat right behind us. They had a couple rows of media seating, and we were able to chat with her for a good portion of the game. And I'm sure
she got up at one point and left to refill her soda or popcorn. I think that had been just Johnny talking too much, but we did. It was nice. Weren't expecting that, but got a chance to chat with the commissioner about a variety of things, football media days, all kinds of stuff. So was good to see Commissioner Navarre is in town. She presented the trophy and the all tournament team stuff to the players afterwards. But also, Jay, I do want to talk a little football. I do want to take a quick break, but also we should mention Cole. Is it Ruick? How do you pronounce his last name? I know I screwed it up, but Cole Ruick won over 71 at the Stanford Regional yesterday, and he's back out there at 10:31 today.
Yeah, he was 2 under through 2 yesterday, and was off to a great start. Kind of traded a couple birdies and bogeys down the stretch, but I think he's tied for 38th, at least starting off the day. So he's got some work to do. He's an individual there, right? So he has to be the top finishing individual in order to make it out of regionals and go to the next round. He's definitely got some work to do, but within, it's in the realm of possibilities for sure if he goes low today. I mean, he shot, I think, 67 or something like that, or 68 on the final day of the Mountain West tournament in order to come back and win that thing. So he certainly has it in him.
Yeah, no doubt. 1 over 71 in the NCAA tournament's pretty nothing. We would all, I think anybody watching this show would take that. So congratulations to Cole. All right, I do want to talk a little bit football, but want to first thank Cutwater Spirits. More than 35 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. You can pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for the next game day tailgate or that outing out there on the golf course. Rowpaint.com, the concrete coatings. We're already scheduling them, Jay, for our new house to do some painting before we move in. Rowpaint.com does tremendous work, whether it's the concrete coatings, whether you saw about in the commercial before the show, whether it's the interior, exterior, residential painting, commercial, industrial, you name it, all your painting needs. Check out rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. We're back for year 2 of the Tyson Degenhart Show. Love ICCU. I say it all the time, but I wish my family had made the switch easier or sooner. So easy to move money around, do different things. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner. The mobile app is so easy to use. Highly recommend making the switch today. And thanks to Brent Cotter and company. They are helping us with our home mortgage as well through ICCU. So all your banking needs, check them out. ICCU.com. This is a Taco Bell Tuesday. TacoBellWorks.com. The SON Management Group, Nick Alason family. We appreciate their support. Looking forward to having them out at the golf tournament. It's pretty cool, Jay. I think every one of our sponsors is also involved with the golf tournament, so it's pretty cool that they want to get involved with things like this and helping charities, and looking forward to having the Nick Alason family out there. Taco Bell Work. Maybe that's a group Jay Tust might latch on to, the Taco Bell group. Nick Alason family, they do a ton of stuff for Boise State and for BNN. We're very appreciative. And again, they are hiring, so you can get half your wages the next day and you get free food while you work. Check them out, TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, they're giving away a free car with a hole-in-one at the tournament. That's right. And then they'll have Ahmed Hassanin, Matt Lauder, Andrew Simpson, some of the guys out there at the tournament in the afternoon as well. They have some morning workouts, but if you're in the afternoon, you'll get to meet some of the football players, get some stuff signed. They'll be hanging out at the hole. LithiaFordBoise.com. You can view that full inventory of vehicles and do what the Raines family did. Test drive a couple, and you're on your way in a couple hours. Again, Lithia Ford Boise, and we're appreciative of them and excited to have them out at the golf tournament. The Blue and Orange Store, again, providing the prizes for the tournament as well. The blueandorange.store.com. Travis Hawks and company, an entire store dedicated to nothing but Boise State stuff. It's literally heaven when you walk in if you're a Boise State fan. Check them out. Second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall next to Pro Image. And yes, they have the Heisman, Ashton Genty shirts, all the NIL shirts, all your Boise State gear. Check them out. You can also get it online at the blueandorangestore.com. And Jay, we can say we'll keep our fingers crossed, but we believe we have some good news on my house front in terms of an accepted offer, and Matt Bauscher got it done. Bauscher Real Estate, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason. Again, you can see I already knew the stats said he was number 1, but I found out just why the last couple of weeks working with Matt and Kelly and their team. Sarah, they do a tremendous job there. So BauscherRealEstate.com. We appreciate them. And we got, I think we sold the house, hopefully, if all goes well with all the other stuff down the line. But thanks to Bauscher Real Estate and Matt Bauscher for helping us out there. And again, Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com, locations across the Treasure Valley. You can check them out. Ridley's Family Markets, 14 locations in the state of Idaho. And again, download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. And Jay, I'm heading in today to Lean Feast, leanfeastmeridian.com. I know they're still feeding the football team, the basketball team. They'd be happy to help out Jay Tust as well if you need a free meal there, Jay. Leanfeastmeridian.com. leanfeastmeridian.com, all your various meal combinations. Go in there and tell them you heard about it on BNN. They'll hook you up with a great deal. And again, it's right there on Eagle Road in Ustick. You can go in there just to get lunch. You don't have to get they have a microwave there. You can get it for lunch right away, or you can get meals and save them for work or future meals. Again, leanfeastmeridian.com. Dave and the whole staff there do a tremendous job, and we're appreciative of Lean Feast Meridian. I'm heading there after the show to get some meals for the rest of the week. So check them out, leanfeastmeridian.com. All right, Jay, in the final couple minutes we got here, I know Spencer Danielson talked about a lot of different things during his press conference last week, and we're done talking about some of them. But just in general, any other takeaways from what he said last week? I know that there was a lot of Malachi Nelson talk and a lot of we talked C.J. Tiller, where there was a lot of talk about Maddox Madsen getting the QB1 reps going into the summer in the player run practices. Any other, whether it's QB battle or anything else, stand out to you from our big hour-long talk with Spencer Danielson last week?
I mean, yeah, kind of
although there's only 21 minutes of it you can talk about. Keep that in mind.
I get that. I totally get that. Some of the storylines coming out of that thing that you thought were going to be storylines were buried for a little bit. The tampering with Ashton Genty and a bunch of other Boise State football players was kind of supposed to be the headline, in my opinion. We've already gone over that. Outside of that, though, he did offer some transparency and honesty about the quarterback position, which is refreshing at the very least. But Maddox Madsen's going to run the Blues going into the summer, which means he's basically got an edge on QB1 at the moment. Far from over. Battle is far from over. But that transparency was nice, and to hear that Malachi Nelson is continuing to come along, and a reminder that what a massive spring for him in terms of just getting acclimated to the program, the playbook, everything, right? The university. So he had a really productive spring, and now he gets to try to build on that throughout the summer, and then this competition, once fall camp kicks off, will heat right back up, and it should be a lot of fun.
Somebody's asking about the transfer from Villanova. What are your thoughts on that? Only 2 catches in 21 games. I think we all expect Matt Lauder to have a huge year. There was some other guys that stepped up, but other than Matt Lauder, he's really and I saw some people saying, like, well, why are they going for tight end depth? I thought that was pretty good. Like, they have a lot of talent there, but it's a lot of kind of unproven younger talent, Jay. So you bring in a veteran guy here, but it doesn't necessarily have the stats. Yeah,
I just think you want a veteran presence in that room, somebody that's done it before, right? So I don't know a ton about this kid's character, but it would suggest that he has some type of good leadership skills if they want to bring him into that room, which you feel like is kind of established. I mean, I think that Matt Wagner is going to have a great year. I think that Matt Lauder has a chance to be an all-conference type player, if not more than that. And the thing about it is Matt's a junior. Wagner's only going to be a redshirt freshman, right? It's so you bring somebody into that room that gives you another option, gives you a little more depth, and he's older. You don't really need somebody that's younger in that room right now. If anything, you want somebody that's a little bit older and a little more experienced. And now, he's going to get a chance to transfer up, play at Boise State, and has a, legit chance to go win a conference championship. So I think that's why it kind of works out for everybody in these regards.
BSU Bill says use him in run packages, save Lauder a little bit, assuming he's a good blocker. BSU Bill also wondering about the new jerseys. We've been getting a lot of questions about this. I did bump into Dale Holste at one of the softball games over the weekend. It sounds like everything's on track with that, Jay. My understanding is that this year there's no new orange jersey. It's just going to be blue, white, and black were the 3 that they can get done for this season. I don't know much about them, but I do know that the designs were given, I believe, to EA Sports for the video game. So they'll have to announce them before that or in conjunction with that. And that's supposed to be in mid-July. So I would suspect, last time they did it, they did a little thing down in a big press conference in the team room with some mannequins and stuff with the jerseys. I would assume at some point in the next, 6 weeks or so, probably going to be, and yes, I am name dropping. I talked to Dale Holste at the softball game, Johnny. That's a big deal. But I would suspect this summer they're going to probably announce the jerseys at some point here in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Man, Dale's a Volt, so good for you.
Well, I didn't say he told me anything. I said we actually talked Chicago Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues in the Winter Classic next year at Wrigley Field. Now, we would love to go, but we can never make plans around Christmas or New Year's because of the bowl schedule, unfortunately. Is actually we actually spent very little talking about the jerseys because, he doesn't tell us anything. But
I think that you're right on that timeline because you don't want them to come out in the video game first. So I think you're very accurate on that timeline of another 6 weeks here, and Boise State's going to have to if they want to own it, they're going to have some type of jersey reveal in the next 6 weeks or so.
Robbie Robinson, the new tight end, reminds me of John Bates.
Ooh, that is a comparison and a half right there. John was a 5th round NFL draft pick. If they just added a 5th round draft pick out of the transfer portal at tight end, that would be massive.
Dylan Cooper, ESPN is announcing their early season kickoff times May 30th. Should we expect Fox and CBS the same day or the next? Sometime that week. It could be a couple of days earlier. That's a Thursday, so maybe it's the Friday during the golf tournament. But that week after Memorial Day is when usually all of that comes out, and that'll be the finalizing of any games moving to Thursday or Friday. I feel like in the past, the initial schedule announcement sometimes had a game or two already moved to Thursday or Friday. That hasn't happened yet, but that will happen. And I know that the big one that everyone is really interested about, Jay, early in the season is that Oregon game week 2.
Yeah, I mean, that is a chance to have a lot of eyes on it. Oregon, man, they continue to add out of the transfer portal. I would love to know what they have spent on their roster. It's this Boise State's 3-0 all time against Oregon. And you know what, Bronco Nation, we go ahead and hope that it's 4-0, but it just feels like times have changed and they are taking on a different type of Oregon team than they did in the past. And they beat some pretty good Oregon teams in the past, but this just feels, this is starting to feel even more different.
And I went on with John Canzano over there in Portland last week to talk about the firestorm with all the comments and everything from last week. And he asked about something about the Oregon game. And when I said that Boise State was 3-0 against them, I don't even think he realized that. Like, I don't even think some of the Oregon people, or maybe we don't realize, like, wow, we've never beaten Boise State before.
Well, do they not follow people from Boise State on social media? I feel like they got the Oregon logo graphic ready to go with the 0-3 next to it.
That is one of the big things that Boise State fans like to like that's going to be tough because it's going to be a really tough game this year. And that's one of the I love you fans, but that is one of the big things that they can, Jay, like hold their hat on, is they've never lost to Oregon, and that's going to be tough to keep that streak going.
3-1 still pretty good, but
it is. And don't forget
4-0, right? Ashton Genty to an unbelievable upset victory in Eugene. That would be one of. I'm telling you, that would be one of the more remarkable upsets, probably in school history. I mean, that would be a big time upset.
And don't forget, everybody knows this. It's still weird to say, Oregon now in the Big Ten.
Yep. And
don't forget, the Big Ten now has a TV package next year with CBS. And they already announced some of the NBC games and some of the other games. But I saw it's either going to be Iowa State and somebody, Auburn, I forget who it is. But there's one other game. But Boise State, Oregon very easily could get the 3:30 Eastern quote unquote afternoon prime time, famed SEC CBS spot that's now Big Ten this year, could be Boise State, Oregon, because don't forget you know this, but the visiting team controls the TV deal. So this will be a Big Ten TV game, which is really weird to say with Oregon. But it's going to be, that's going to be a prime viewing spot, which could be good or could be bad, I guess, for Boise State, depending on how the game goes. But I saw maybe Saturday afternoon, that'd be a 12:30, Eastern time afternoon start in Eugene. There's going to be some big time eyeballs on that game.
Yeah. No, great opportunity for Boise State to, show what they're made of. And, in terms of the Heisman stage for Ashton Genty, that's going to be a massive opportunity for him as well.
Jeffrey does say he lives in Portland. Not even an afterthought over here, Jay.
Well, I don't know. Hold it over their heads as long as you can there, Boise State.
If we lose the game by 21 or less, that's a dub, according to BSU Bill.
I don't know.
Do they get to start with a 21-0 lead? Do they actually get a W if they keep within 21? Is that new this year?
Yeah, right. Funny. I see. I mean, if I don't know, it's way too early to speculate about even, margin of victory, wins or losses, any of that stuff. So,
Hey, when we
get to that point, though.
We know Oregon was that you mentioned the transfer portal and the NIL game and who they got, man. I'm sure they were
really aggressive.
I'm sure they were picking up the phone and probably dialing some 208 numbers. Who knows, man? I mean, they called just about everybody out there. So that'll be an interesting one. Chase Love does say Friday on Big Boy Fox. I do think that's an option because they do have a new Fox primetime package this year, Jay. But I do think that would be a little tough unless the game gets moved, which I heard Boise State was really trying to get the Georgia Southern game moved to Thursday or Friday. But I heard that with the way that town is, Statesboro and all that, like I heard some, I think you were there when we were having the conversation about this. It's just really hard for them to have non-Saturday games, and especially a game with that kind of attendance. Probably they're going to sell out with Boise State coming to town. Yeah. That they were really pushing back, Georgia Southern was, against moving that game off of Saturday for numerous reasons. But I do think if they could have got that game off, and they still might. I mean, that's going to be a quick turnaround for Boise State, but it wouldn't shock me. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time in history Boise State's had to play a road game and then a road game on a Friday. But you're playing
literally the worst case scenario, I think. Though, I mean,
it's possible though. If Fox has a new Friday night prime time and they have a chance to get Boise State, Oregon on a Friday night national TV, the school doesn't really have much of a say. If they want that game, I think they can get the game. I don't know if that's one you turn down if you're Boise State.
That's easily the worst case scenario, though, to have to travel to Georgia, play on a Saturday. You know that you're probably not getting back from that game until early.
Get an afternoon game, which wouldn't be ideal either, probably due to the heat down there. But if you can get an afternoon game, maybe you can at least get back at a decent time on Saturday.
I really should check my notes, but for some reason, I feel like that game was pointing towards a night game. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but I feel like that game was trending towards being a night game. So if it is a night game, you're not getting back from Georgia until 6 a.m. on Sunday, and then you got a game on Friday in Eugene. That would be the ultimate worst case scenario. I mean, there's not a great case scenario given the way the schedule.
I don't know. To get a chance to play on National Fox on their first Friday night game or whatever, I think that'd be kind of cool. It wouldn't be ideal, but I mean, is it? I mean,
maybe the only benefit is that it's early enough in the season to where maybe you're kind of doing a little bit of prep work for both, even though you would never admit that early on. But
it's a 45-minute drive or flight to Eugene. It's not like it's going back across the country or something on Thursday. But
you still lose. You basically lose 2 prep days that week by not getting back until Sunday morning. And then
I guess I'm just saying I don't know if it would make that big of a difference playing it Friday night versus Saturday afternoon. Like in terms of the chances of them winning the game or whatever. I just don't know if it'd be that big of a deal. But
I don't know.
I'm sure the coaches would say it's a massive deal.
Yeah, I would definitely rather have that game on a Saturday for sure.
But I do as much as we're saying it wouldn't be ideal, I do think that's possible. I do think that's definitely possible for when you look at some of the games already gotten picked. You know, they already picked a couple of the.
And Fox is definitely going to want to, especially early on, try to get eyeballs on that time slot so that they, build credibility in that time slot. You set the tone in the first couple of weeks of the season, and now people will change their plans for the rest of the year if those are quality games.
And you get an Oregon team that certainly is going to have ratings, and a Boise State team, which is going to bring some ratings as well. I could see that being a game Fox is like, oh, we'll definitely take that. If that is the case, you do wonder if there's any scenario where Boise State could try to get the Georgia Southern game still moved to Friday. But as I said, I don't remember the exact reasoning. The town's pretty small, I believe, and with hotels and a lot of different things, they just said it wasn't ideal to have that game not be on a Saturday.
Yeah, I don't even know if we stay in town in the actual
I heard Savannah.
Yeah, that's the place to be, which is about an hour away or something like that.
Yeah, I haven't looked. That's going to be a weird one, too, because you can fly to Atlanta. That's probably an easier trip from Boise with like either nonstop, maybe even if you're on Delta, but then you got to drive like 3 hours, or you can take multiple stops to get closer. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, have to drop our game plan.
Yes, but which is what that's what matters. People care about is our travel plan. How we're going to get there. But yes, we're within 2 weeks, Jay. That week right there, right before the golf tournament, right around the golf tournament is when all these first couple of weeks will come out, and we'll get the different times and dates, and we're getting closer to getting that. We should at least lock in the Friday or game change dates for some of those other ones as well. So KTVB, I know there's a lot of high school stuff going on. What do we got coming up the next couple of days here on KTVB?
Well, NNU, their baseball team, made it to regionals. Kind of a fun storyline here, BJ. They had the Shields brothers for Boise State and Arizona tennis square off
2 years in a row.
Right? Well, NNU makes it, and now their coach is going to go. They got to conquer the Point Loma regional, which is no easy task. And he used to coach at Point Loma, so he wants to take NNU to the next step. He's got to run through a powerhouse of D2 baseball to get there. They leave tonight for that, but you're right. State baseball, man, starts on Thursday. Softball's going on, but it's not locally, which kind of sucks because it makes it impossible to cover. And then track and field also is going to be going on. So this is the culmination of the high school sports season this weekend, and it'll be a sprint to Sunday. Let me tell you that.
And I love high school sports. I'll have a kid that's hopefully playing high school sports someday, Jay. Loved my time at the Idaho Press, but these are the weekends I do not miss.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hustle, but it'll be good. It's fun.
Covering track out at Middleton was never. Always felt like it was rainy and cold and never the most fun thing to do. But
or bring your sunscreen because it's like 90. That's actually I'll take that though. It is supposed to be beautiful this weekend, so I'll take that.
Appreciate Jay as always. We'll talk to you on Friday. And looking forward to having you out there for the golf tournament. I kid around, but there's plenty of groups that are hoping you're going to play with them, so we will have to figure something out on that. But at least try to get a bucket. At least try to. I think there's folks who are thinking you're going to be a scratch golfer coming out there and helping their team here. So try to get at least one bucket of balls in before the tournament.
The Atkinsons are dead to me too. Tell them that.
They took Mike Burns. They took Mike Burns over Jay Tust. I mean, what are we doing here?
They're dead to me.
What about Mike Burns? Weaseled his way in there.
No, Mike is the man.
I actually have a very cool foursome I'm working on. You might get to play with your buddy Justin Schultz, actually. So we might. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea.
Okay,
but we may have
to. I'm definitely gonna have to bring my driver then because he's laying up on everything off the tee. So good to know.
Never seen a guy use a pitching wedge on a par 5 tee shot. It was weird.
I don't know. I will say this, so maybe that would be a good tandem because he'll put it in the fairway and just allow people that actually want to use their drivers on par 5s just to get after it. So maybe that is a good combo.
Oh man, it's going to be a fun time. Again, May 31st. We'd love to have you join us. Help us sell out these last 4 or 5 foursomes, and it should be a fun time. And again, support the sponsors, all the sponsors we tell you about throughout the show. That you just watched a free show on YouTube thanks to our sponsors. So support the sponsors and subscribe if you can. Follow us, subscribe on YouTube, the various social media channels. And Johnny Mallory will join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. If anything else breaks, so we need to jump back in, we will. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. And we'll talk to you 9 a.m. tomorrow. Make sure you follow KTVB for all the various high school sports and things going on this weekend at the state tournaments. We'll talk to you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.